Welcome back to The Zest. I'm back with Caitlin Padgett, author of Drink Less, Be More, and she is going to share some amazing, fun mocktails with us that you can serve at parties all year long.
Correct.
All year long. Mm-hmm. All right, so tell me why mocktails. I know we just got done talking about your book and drinking less, be more, so do you incorporate mocktails in your own life?
I do all the time. And you know, this is the thing that I've come to realize is that while I might have my own reasons for cutting back on alcohol, if I show up at a party, this is always a hit, we're going to talk about it in a minute. I'm just thinking about a time when I brought it, and a friend of mine who was pregnant was so happy because she said, you know, people forget about the people that don't drink for whatever reason, and it can be boring to drink water or, you know, juice, or there's often not, the alternatives aren't so interesting. So for me, whatever your reasons are for wanting to cut back on alcohol, I just think that it's a really nice thing, and it can add new flavor dimensions to a meal. It can even just liven up what you would be, instead of pouring regular water into a glass, you might want to pour this one that we're going to talk about, the agua fresca. So it's just it's a way to add diversity. It's a way to honor different people's choices.
Yeah,
it's a way to remind yourself to hydrate, because this is a more delicious alternative than plain water. So,
and I know for me as a non-drinker, sometimes I like having that glass of something in my hand. One, mainly so people kind of think that I'm drinking. It's like my little trick where it's like, oh, she's good, and so they don't kind of pressure me or bother me, especially when I first quit drinking. I noticed that a lot, is people would say, oh, why don't you have a drink in your hand? And I'd be in the corner drinking water.
Yeah, and then you stand out. And so, yeah, that's a really good point. And I've had some of my clients mention that to me too. Like, I feel so awkward. And I'm like, what are you drinking? A bottle of water. Well, yeah, if everybody's used to seeing you with a beer in your hand and all of a sudden you're drinking water, you're going to stand out. So I think that's a really good point that you made, that often just having something that looks like it could be a cocktail, people don't even notice half the time if you're drinking, more than half the time if you're drinking or not.
Absolutely. All right, so you have some for us today. Let's start down here.
Sure.
This one looks really refreshing.
It is. So this is an agua fresca. It's made with lime and cucumber, and this one was kind of marinating together, so that's one way to do it. Another way is actually you can put the lime juice and the peeled cucumber in a blender and blend it up, and you can either strain it or you can leave the pulp in.
Okay.
You put a little bit of agave based on how sweet you want it, and then you would add ice, and it's incredibly refreshing. It's very hydrating. The cucumber actually can help you feel full, so it's a really good one if you're going to a barbecue or somewhere where you think you might overindulge. Drinking this is actually going to help with reducing your desire to eat so much. So it's a really great one.
Awesome. And you're from Mexico. You live there now. Well, not from
I'm not
originally.
from Mexico, but I live there now. And this is something that I will always order when I go out for dinner, because it's so refreshing, and yeah, I learned it there and I love it. And I just think it's very simple, but it can be a really classic addition to
and
any
I think
meal.
a lot of people are used to cucumber water, so I think it doesn't freak them out as much. It's kind of the low grade introduction, to something different. Awesome. Okay, so this one looks really fun. This one probably looks like my favorite one. I see strawberries, which I love. So tell me about this one.
So this is a strawberry basil spritzer, and I love this one because it uses basil as the flavor addition, flavor enhancer. So it might look a little bit like a mojito. People might be familiar with that, but the basil adds a bit of a spiciness. It's just a different flavor, although you could use mint if you wanted to. And strawberries, as you know, are packed with antioxidants, and so they're a really healthy fruit. And then you have the lime, which also has antioxidants, and the basil is anti-inflammatory and also antibacterial. So it's a really healthy drink. And you can muddle it with a little bit of sugar if you want to. This one actually doesn't even have sugar in it, and you'll see how the flavors are already blending together.
Naturally sweet.
Yeah, the fruit is infusing the water, and so it can be made very, very healthy with no added sugar, or just with a little bit of
And you
sugar.
use sparkling water to give it that bubbly.
The bubbles,
Yeah.
the bubbles make everything more fun.
Yeah, it's true.
It's like a party in a cup.
And also, one of the things that I've done before is I have used tea, like unsweetened tea, and I'll put fruit in it, so then it gives it that natural fruit flavor. That's something that I'll take to picnics or parties or barbecues. So you can also, rather than the
sparkling water.
Yeah,
for
put some
sure.
tea. Look at me giving you advice on your mocktails.
It's a great suggestion.
All right, and then you put a little lime on it. as well, and there you go. Put some little fun straws.
And this is actually a really good one that you can prepare in advance. So as I was mentioning, I like to bring this one to parties. So what I'll often do is I'll put the fruit, the basil, a little bit of sugar, and the lime, and just gently muddle it. So you're kind of lightly crushing it, but you don't want to turn it into a pulp. And then you can take that in a Tupperware container or even in the pitcher to wherever it is that you're going, to the event that you're going, and then you would just top it off with the sparkling water and the ice, and the flavors just melt together in such a nice way. And like I said, it's always a hit. Every time I bring this anywhere, it's a hit with people who are drinking, you know, the drinkers and the non-drinkers alike.
And kids too, I'm sure.
Kids
probably love it.
Yeah, they're like, oh, I get to drink that? You know, like they're excited because it looks like an adult drink. And it's, you know, it's the same thing. Kids get stuck with boring drinks, and so they like to feel like they have something fun in their cup as well.
You get them some spices, some herbs, some fruit, and they're good to go. Awesome. Okay, so this one scares me a little bit, but tell me
why.
Tell me a little bit about it.
Okay, so this is my Beat the Bloat Bloody Mary. And so Bloody Marys, of course, are famous for, you know, coping with hangovers. It can be used for that, but it's also just a very healthy drink on its own, minus the alcohol, of course. And this, the way
everyone thinks that alcohol is what cures the hangover.
But it's really not. It's just, the alcohol is just an excuse to keep drinking.
Yeah,
absolutely. But what makes you feel better is actually the fact that you are getting a lot of electrolytes with the tomato juice, and you're also getting vitamin K and B12, which can help.
And you add something different. You add...
I like to add carrot juice, which gives it a little bit of sweetness, because the thing is a lot of commercial tomato juice is sweet. It has sugar added. So you want to try to buy tomato juice that has no sugar added, but you can get the sweetness from carrot juice, and then obviously you're getting more nutrients from carrot juice as well.
And then you can make it spicy.
You can add horseradish or the Worcestershire sauce to make it a little bit spicier. And then these are my two favorite ingredients for the Beat the Bloat Bloody Mary, which is turmeric and cracked pepper.
I love that. I would never ever think to add that. And when you were telling me about that, I was like, that's amazing.
Yeah, yeah. And so they both have anti-inflammatory properties, and when mixed together, they activate each other. So, and then you can put some lime in there. You can also put a little bit of olive oil in it, and then you can get really creative with the garnishes. And
I've seen people put cheese on it. I've seen
turkey bacon, you know, pickled vegetables. You can go wild, and it's like a meal.
And I found, actually, I don't know if this statistic is 100% true, but this is what someone at the airline told me, is that tomato juice on the airplanes is actually the #1 ordered drink. And if you think about it, people are dehydrated, they never really get tomato juice, so it kind of makes sense. Now it's all making sense to me of why people would order it.
Yeah, I've heard that as well.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, these are really great, awesome mocktails. Thank you so much for sharing them with us today. For more great tips from Caitlin, check her out on Instagram at drink.less.b.more. And next up on The Zest, we'll learn 3 ways to increase your energy in less than a minute a day.